Welcome everyone. I'm glad to introduce to you Diana Ovelgönne from 7 Healthineers. She is going to present on leveraging FHIR in a DICOM world. And yeah, that sounds highly interesting. The stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. And congratulations for pronouncing my last name properly. You won 5 points. Yeah, so I am Jana. I work for Siemens, and I've been working and living for Siemens in Germany since 2007. So, but before I was already there in Mexico. And I am they call me expert, I doubt it, but that's my title, in interoperability and data modeling. So why we want to use FHIR in a DICOM world in radiology? We have this bubble in the radiology department at the bottom of the hospitals where there is a lot of information captured there. We have all the imaging studies, so there is a lot of information. So there is where they really see what it is inside the patient. And we have the reports that are getting created. And sometimes, or many times, we can also take advantage of much more information that it is actually hidden in the metadata of these DICOM structures. Therefore, we want to break this bubble. We want to make sure that this information is not just staying there in the radiology world, but it is really reaching out to have more comprehensive patient records. We want to make sure that there are better bases for decision support, and of course, also to improve the workflows so that then the burden in the radiology department, or also for the clinicians and so on, this is getting reduced when we are able to use this data already in a FHIR format. And of course, there are some regulations, but we'll talk later more about it. And therefore, we need to also start thinking about FHIR in radiology. But as I am saying, of course, we need to think also in a standard way. So it is not just all about DICOM. We have already, since years ago, HL7 version 2, also messages for the patient demographics over there. And of course, we have IHE, which is defining the workflow and how these two standards shall play along. Recently, some years back, we had also FHIRcast getting introduced, so that then you are able to also share the patient context when you are doing the diagnostic reports, and also recently, you are also able to share content, so findings, measurements, using also the FHIRcast. As I was saying before, there is a lot of data in radiology. Some data comes in, some data comes out. And unfortunately, data that should come in, it sometimes is also very poorly integrated, so there are a lot of manual entries. However, I will not dive in this discussion right now. Afterwards, at the drinks, we can talk about it. But I want to focus more on the output. Of course, as said, there is an imaging study. Everybody knows that. You go there, you get scanned, you get some images. Additionally, when a modality or a scanner was involved where there is radiation involved, in many countries there are regulations that you need to report how much radiation dose has been provided to the patient. And furthermore, of course, you have the diagnostic report. And in the diagnostic report, you will have like the overall assessment. Does the patient need to be having special treatment or whatsoever, or a follow-up? And where were the findings? And of course, the relevant images. And I want to focus mainly on the clinical findings that the radiologist is observing when writing his diagnostic report. So now I am going into the FHIR world, and then the radiological findings should be modeled as observations. That is no-brainer. However, we know that you have the possibility to put things either in a value when you just have to report something that is just one thing. Then you can have the component, and then you have the HES member. So those are your 3 options. Everybody who has been working on FHIR profiling knows that. However, when you are talking about clinical findings, it's not just to say, yeah, there is a tumor, but you need to say what this tumor looks like, how big the tumor is. And probably you want to also put in the DICOM images some pointers to say, yes, this is the tumor that I am wanting to report, and probably not the small lesion that is next to it. So you can have also the possibility or the need to also have additional annotations, or you have also spine labeling use cases. And then when you are having, let's say, 3-4 different lesions, for each of the lesions, depending on the clinical use case where you are, and depending on the clinical guidelines that you are following, it might be that you actually need to say this specific lesion is from, let's say, if we would be with prostate, that it has a PARADS value 2, and this other one has a PARADS value 3. Therefore, it is really better to, I mean, as a value, it will not fulfill your needs. And with the composition, when you are starting and you are digging in very simple use cases, sorry, not with the composition, with the component, then it is very straightforward, and then you say, sure, we can do it there. So I just need to say slicing, and then I am done. It really doesn't work out well when you want to report complex findings, because there are measurements that they are derived or based on other measurements. There you need to have more robust structures. You need to, for example, to state which is the method that it was used for each of the density values that you are using, if it is the minimum or the maximum. Therefore, it is really better to really, from the day one that you are doing your FHIR profile, to go directly to the HAS member. So this is like my cooking recipe, and I'm sharing my cooking secrets with you. And then I was saying that now the assessment per lesion, but we have also the case level assessment, when you really want to say, this patient needs a biopsy, or this patient potentially has cancer or something else, he needs an open heart surgery. So here you really need to have a dedicated observation for this overall assessment. However, you could also argue like, okay, let's just say derive from, and then I do this lesion assessment linkage there, and then I just have like the summary. However, not every single clinical guideline is telling you that you should be doing this finding level assessment. Therefore, it is better if you are doing this derived from with the reference to the finding itself, because with that you really can have the whole clinical context to be able to say, these are the findings that I am taking as input for this grade that I am giving to this case. Then you need to say where this finding, where this tumor or lesion was located. And if you are in R4 and you are going to imaging study, you will only see body side as a possible, and laterality. So this changed also in R5 as a codable reference to go to body structure. This is coming also from imaging selection, which is introduced in R5. So you here have the body structure, and then you have in the observations the body site and the body structure with a nice invariant, so that then you don't need to take care of keeping those values in sync. So to be honest, it is also in radiology better. Sometimes, of course, you can just say, yeah, there is the right leg is broken, so why not just saying right leg here, body side, that's it. You want to have one structure that is robust for the different use cases. So it is really better to just go always with the body structure. And there you have the possibility to have your structure and your laterality. And also you can have, for example, for mammography, you need to say clockwise orientation is the tumor in the left breast at 5 o'clock. So those things you need to be able to support in your structure, and therefore actually body structure is a resource that has changed and improved a lot of the content from R4 to R6. based on also all this feedback from people from ENCODE and so on. So it is really meaningful. And if you want to have an excuse to move to R6, body structure is one of them. It is really meaningful and good, the work that it has been put in this resource. And also, as I was preparing the slides, I realized that there is a JIRA ticket that it will be doing cleanup. So you don't need to worry about in the imaging study or the imaging selection if I use one or the other. You will be actually just having as a possibility the body structure. So they are planning to do this, and they are considering this as a breaking change. Still, neither of the resources is normative. So if you have an opinion on this, in the slides there is a link. Feel free to write a comment in the JIRA and say that you vote for it or against it. And yeah. We are in DICOM. We need to see images, otherwise it's not fun. So you have the possibility with the imaging selection to say which is the image, or which is even the frame inside the multi-frame where this finding can be seen. You can also have there the coordinates also aligned to what DICOM is saying. So this is not like we are trying to reinvent what and make things different as DICOM. This is all aligned with DICOM. And the bad thing is that this was introduced in R5. So if you are still in R4, you need to do backporting. We did it with based on imaging study, and it is also okay-ish because at the end of the day you have there already many repeating data elements. So that was why we decided to go that way. But another reason to move forward to newer versions. And of course, if you want to capture more information that it is hidden in the DICOM header from the images, you can also probably write extensions there and put them there. I was telling you how to create a radiology finding. For me, it is irrelevant if this radiology finding has been created by a human being, or if it is actually by a machine. There are specifications. So, for example, IHE is suggesting that when there are AI results getting created, that they should be captured in a DICOM structure report object. And when we want to bring these values also outside the world from the DICOM, there is an official implementation guide. It was balloted, I think, probably January this year, and still it hasn't been released. So if you want to still provide comments, you are always allowed to do that. And this is going on the same approach that I told you. So have these has member observations, and then you are able to transmit this information. In regards of terminology, we are able to use the DICOM terminologies of choice, to say it in one way, also from the FHIR side. So the people from DICOM have been working with Graham a couple of years ago, so that then there are mechanisms that also in the FHIR registry we can download these DICOM packages with these value sets. This DICOM package includes the DICOM control terminology, so the codes defined by DICOM, so the code system from DICOM, and these context groups, which is more or less the equivalent of a value set. So in some cases you have RADLEX values, in some cases you have Snomed values, and so on. Things that you need to consider when you are going into this domain. DICOM is really a mine full of treasures. However, on real life, there are many, or there is a lot of data that is dirty data, so you will not have real-time validation like you could have on FHIR. There are still some differences on data types when you are going from DICOM to FHIR, so probably you would be needing to do some conversions there. Some terminologies still need to be validated. So when you are putting something from Snomed, might be that it is not a valid synonym. And as I was saying, you can write extensions to put more information there. But where do you draw the line? You don't want to repeat the standard. DICOM is already quite good, but you really want to also take the meaningful things out. So it is really not clear where to stop when you can extract data from DICOM. And this is very important. If you don't have the DICOM standard in your bookmarks and you are just doing a Google search, be careful, because for whatever reason, if someone from Google is here present, please take care of this. The results are just coming with these older versions, so sometimes it's 2017, sometimes it's 2013, and if you don't pay attention, especially when you are looking into corresponding value sets, might be that you are really looking to outdated values. So you need to be very careful and make sure that either you really save it on your bookmarks or that you look at that you're on the current. If there are things that you find in DICOM that need to be improved, they don't have JIRA like in FHIR, they have a form, but they are also open for change requests. So you can fill in the form, and they have a similar process like us for evaluating. And if you are sometimes bored, sleepless, there is a lot of information behind those links. Some tools actually from David Clooney, the main author from DICOM, for doing also evaluation or of the DICOM objects. Links of the control terminology, some of the implementation guides that are there that are starting to also use more DICOM in the FHIR world. Also from the IHE initiatives. And you can get in contact with me here or Zulip or LinkedIn, wherever. And are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diana. I think that was a very catchy talk, perfect for this time when people are getting less attentive right in the afternoon. And I hope there are some attentive questions too from the audience. There is one.
So one thing I noticed when you were talking about the diagnostic report, the way you were suggesting using it seemed to be kind of similar to what I see in the laboratory world, where most of the findings are going to be in observation resources. But some of the discussions we've been having in orders and observations internationally seem to, with the imaging folks, seem to be moving in a different direction, wanting to add new sections to diagnostic report and all of that for the findings and all that, and not really rely on observation. And so I'm wondering about the, kind of which approach and how we can kind of come to hopefully we can use the two in both worlds as close to the same as possible, is what I'm hoping.
I mean, to be fair, I haven't been in the last calls from the imaging integration, but as far as I am concerned, it is, this is just the findings area. Their radiological report is very extended. You need to have also this technical information about technique and the dose and so on. So there are many things that still need to be considered, and I think that is the work that this IHE IDR is trying to cover, to identify where are the gaps in regards of what it is defined in the diagnostic report versus the real-life radiological report. I still believe that at least this section from the findings, it needs to become more structured, or at least in the back end. So still the doctor should be able to dictate their whole narrative as they do, but behind the scenes, we need to encapture this data in this structured format. And for me, the way to go it is with this observation. Sometimes it is also a little bit tricky with this assessment. So it is, do I put it inside the interpretation of the observation? Do I put it there? Do I use the clinical assessment? I went away from this one when it was still okay, NAR4 is clinical impression. I went away from that because it is clearly stated there that for those types of assessment, observation should be used. And that's where I kept myself in the observations world, but I don't know, we are still evolving.
Yeah.
So one last question, maybe. So one was over there. Do you still want to ask your question? Okay. No, you don't? Okay. Well, maybe it was answered already from what was just said.
I wanted to re-elaborate a little bit on the thing Rob is saying. The industry over time is moving to more structured data. That's also why we, in the IT IRA specification, together with Nuance and others, created a way that the viewer application of a radiologist, when you make a measurement on an image, injects the observation directly in the reporting application. But that's new stuff coming up. Practice is most reporting application currently use dictation. And so we need to be able to cover that as well. So we need to be able to use structured and unstructured data, and we're probably going to stick with that for many years forward. But the trend is towards more structured data.
Thank you so much for that input. Something to add from you? Well, if not, then another big round of applause for Diana Ovelgönne for this talk.
Thank you very much. Don't forget to submit your feedback.